She was barely more than a child when the cameras first caught her smile, when America fell in love with the bubbly little girl on screen, not knowing the weight of the secrets she carried behind it. Raven Symoné grew up in front of the world, her image polished, her laughter scripted. But behind the glittering lights and applause was a darkness she could never speak of, until now. Decades later, she's shattering the silence, peeling back the curtain, and pointing her finger at the man the nation once called America's dad. A man who built his empire on wholesome family values and a fake fatherly warmth. A man who, Raven says, didn't just abuse, he erased those who got in his way. And one of those erased, she claims, was Malcolm Jamal Warner. The words she says still haunt her. "You'll disappear like Malcolm." Then, as if the universe obeyed, Malcolm was gone. The official story was clean. A drowning. No witnesses, no thorough investigation, just a closed case and a casket. But Raven says it was more than a tragedy. It was a message, a silencing that dripped with menace. According to her, Malcolm's death wasn't an accident. It was a warning to anyone who dared challenge the power behind the smile. Now she's naming names, producing receipts, and calling this what she believes it is, murder disguised as misfortune. Hollywood has been built on many illusions, but if her claims are true, one of the most beloved legacies in television history was built on blood. The little girl they told to smile and stay quiet has grown into a woman with nothing left to lose. Raven didn't fade away after her child star years. She bided her time, watched carefully, and when the moment came, she spoke. Her interview has ripped through the industry like a fault line, exposing fractures that some insiders have long whispered about, that Bill Cosby didn't only harm women, he silenced men who threatened his control. Malcolm was one of those men. America remembers Malcolm as the clean-cut, good-natured son from The Cosby Show, a role model on and off screen. But behind the scenes, Raven says, he had begun to change. He was asking questions, challenging inconsistencies, demanding transparency on set, and stepping out from Cosby's shadow. That's when, she claims, the shift happened. Cosby's paternal charm curdled into cold hostility. One overheard sentence lodged deep in her teenage mind. "He's getting too loud. We might need to quiet him." She didn't fully understand it then, but in hindsight, she says she knows exactly what it meant. Raven recalls Cosby pulling her aside one day, speaking as casually as if he were ordering lunch. "If you ever go against me," he told her, "you'll disappear just like Malcolm will." Her blood ran cold. She nodded, silent, because what does a teenager do when the most powerful man in her career has just threatened her life? The intimidation didn't stop there. Raven says Cosby's influence reached everywhere, into her dressing room, her trailer, her hotel. She'd find notes slipped under her door, blank but for the unspoken message, "We're watching." Conversations she'd had in private were repeated back to her by strangers. Then Malcolm left for a family vacation in Costa Rica, a chance to rest, to breathe. But he never returned. The headlines called it a tragic drowning. Raven says she knew immediately it was a lie. She remembered their last conversation between takes on set. He told her, "One day I'm going to tell everything. But first I have to make sure my family's safe." When she saw the headline, she froze. No tears, no screams, just the heavy certainty that this wasn't an accident. The funeral came and went quickly. The investigation closed with disturbing speed. Autopsy results were delayed, questions brushed aside. Then came the call. Cosby's voice, cold and deliberate. "Now you understand what happens when people talk." Click. That was the moment Raven's fear ignited into determination. She cut ties with Hollywood and seemed to vanish. But she wasn't running, she was collecting. Over the years, she saved everything. Voicemails, hard drives, encrypted files, backstage recordings, names, dates, threats, all meticulously documented. When she finally broke her silence, she dropped a statement that set the internet on fire. "Cosby didn't just hurt me, he killed Malcolm." And then the leaks began. An NBC archival insider confirmed the existence of footage showing a heated argument between Cosby and Malcolm on set, filmed just months before Malcolm's death. Officially, the footage was corrupted, unusable, but a 17-second clip surfaced online. No audio, just Cosby's red face, his clenched teeth, his finger jabbing toward Malcolm, who stands his ground before walking away. A former set technician swears he heard Cosby mutter, You talk and you're done. Raven claims Malcolm kept a digital journal, encrypted files, voice memos, secret contracts. He called it his life insurance. The investigation took a more chilling turn when an underground podcast leaked a distorted voicemail. Experts in audio forensics studied the rhythm, the pauses, the tone, and many now believe the voice belonged to Bill Cosby. The message was short but ominous. This isn't a threat, it's advice. Walk away. Don't let that girl get in your head. This isn't your story to tell. That girl, Raven says, was her. And Malcolm had been preparing to back her up, to stand with her, to help her expose what she calls the monster behind the smile. 2 days before he died, Malcolm called her. She missed it, but the voicemail he left still exists. In her documentary teaser, she played a single chilling sentence from it. "I'm scared, but I can't stay quiet anymore." Then static. Those were the last words he ever said to her. Now the internet has exploded. Hashtags like Justice for Malcolm, One Raven Exposed Cosby, and One Truth Behind the Curtain are trending worldwide. YouTubers are dissecting old episodes frame by frame, Reddit sleuths are pulling apart email headers and IP addresses, and TikTok is flooded with reenactments, breakdowns, and theories. The courts are stirring too. Raven has confirmed she'll testify in a sealed civil case tied to Malcolm's estate. Initially filed as a financial dispute, the case is shifting into wrongful death territory. Private investigators found anomalies in Malcolm's autopsy, conflicting time of death entries, missing toxicology samples, and a 48-minute surveillance gap in the hotel hallway where he was last seen. Security logs show someone accessed his room 3 times that night with a master key. The identity remains unknown, but the logs are being scrubbed. Raven's case isn't just about harassment or misconduct. She's methodically building what looks like a murder case, and she's not alone. Malcolm's mother has broken her silence, declaring in an emotional interview, "My son didn't drown. He didn't slip. He didn't fall. He was taken. And those who did it know exactly who they are." Her words rang like a war cry. Raven's new docuseries, They Tried to Silence Me, promises leaked recordings, internal memos, private conversations, and hidden footage. She says it's material the networks never wanted the public to see. At the center of all of it, Malcolm, a man she claims died trying to speak up. Malcolm didn't drown in water, Raven told viewers. He drowned in secrets, in silence, in a legacy built to look perfect on camera, but toxic behind it. Now she's filming the truth instead of sitcoms, and it's dangerous. He wasn't supposed to die. He was supposed to speak, to reveal what he'd seen. Instead, his life ended in a body bag, and the one woman who had stayed quiet for decades is now roaring into the mic. In front of cameras, Raven's voice shook, her eyes full of pain, as she declared, "Malcolm didn't drown, he was silenced, and the man behind it was Bill Cosby." She's naming names, saying Malcolm left voicemails, warnings, and one devastating message: "If something happens to me, don't let her speak at my funeral." According to Raven, she was a woman who publicly comforted Malcolm's mother on TV, but secretly worked with network lawyers to bury the truth. Raven's investigation has now linked Cosby's shell companies to 2 former NBC executives. One allegedly received offshore payments less than a week after Malcolm's death. Then came another whistleblower, a New York storage contractor speaking under a false identity. He claimed he was paid $30,000 in cash to move a metal briefcase and 2 devices from a unit tied to Pudding LLC, a company everyone in the industry knew belonged to Cosby. Inside, he swears, was a laptop with the initials MJW etched into the bottom, Malcolm's missing MacBook. Raven still has backups. Voicemails Malcolm emailed her, backstage clips, messages. One, recorded 48 hours before his death, has Malcolm's voice, tired but resolute. "They're watching me. I can feel it, but I'm not backing down. I have the files. I've made copies. If you're hearing this, I'm gone. And if I'm gone, it wasn't an accident." Static. Silence. Raven has since handed everything to her lawyers, a federal investigator and an independent journalist preparing a multi-part exposé titled Murder in Prime Time. Sources say Cosby's team is panicking. Multiple insiders are flipping. A sealed grand jury inquiry is underway, looking at not only abuse, but potential murder, money laundering, obstruction, and corporate conspiracy. A former Cosby Show writer has revealed that two other cast members privately expressed fear that if Malcolm talked, everyone would be implicated. One of them has disappeared from public view. The other was spotted entering a federal building flanked by attorneys. Fan forums are now rewatching old footage, finding suspicious glances, off-script moments, cuts that never made sense. Lined up with Raven's timeline, they paint a story of fear and control. The biggest blow yet came when M